Robert Laples said it best when he said, "A sparkling, newly minted penny brings back the innocence and joy of childhood." But despite Abe Lincoln's reassuring gaze, pennies have a dark side as well. In response to the arguments the negative team proposed, I would like to provide some answers. Across from our harm 1, subpoint A, 49 million wasted, and they said unsubstantial. I will provide this point. Less is better. Nobody can remove the trillions upon trillions of national debt that we have. The national deficit is $1 trillion per year. We're not going to remove that. We're not going to remove that easily. That is why we must do our best to take little tiny chunks out of it, especially, and get rid of anything that's not productive and that's not making money. And from the response to harm 1, subpoint B, 1 billion lost at productivity, they said productivity not lost at checkout. I would say it is. If you're searching in your pocket, lost at checkout. Lost at checkout. That's how you can tag that. It is lost at checkout when you're searching through your purse for the penny that you just can't find, and you're looking all over for it, and you finally find it. You're wasting an average of 2 seconds. 2 seconds is a lot of time, especially when it adds up. Not for one person, yes, but for all. If you add all of them up, that amounts to a lot of time, and it amounts to wasted money as well. So 1 billion lost productivity. Across from harm 2, harmful to humans, they said, didn't quite get the tag point, but I think it was absurd. Said, I would respond, people don't like pollution. People don't like pollution. As you can see from the evidence we're about to read, some people have already responded to the effects of pollution by pennies. By Mary Rossiter, September 14, 2017. Since 1982, the U.S. Mint has made pennies with more than 97% zinc and 3% copper. The mining of these materials releases toxins into the environment, primarily through wastewater. One store in California refuses to take pennies anymore because of the owner's concern for the nation's land and water. As you can see from this evidence, Judge, people do not like this pollution. People realize that it's going on, and people want this to stop. Also, across from unsubstantial, I'd like to, again from across unsubstantial, which is the response to harm 1.A, I'd like to say that's $900 million wasted per year. $900 million wasted per year. This is by the Citizens to Retire the U.S. Penny, accessed October 2019. With nearly 8 billion pennies minted in 2014, the United States spent almost $132 million to produce less than $50 million of circulating currency. When production is added to the opportunity cost of using the pennies, economists say that the penny drains almost $900 million from the national economy every year. Right, left, or center, all parties know that the country needs to save as much money as possible, and it's impossible to save money when it's being wasted. And, also, across from productivity not lost at checkout, again, which is the response to harm 1.B, 1 billion less productivity, I'd like to say, as well as it being lost at checkout, it's just plain lost. This is, we can tag this as not in circulation. By Amy Livingston, accessed October 17th, 2019. Of course, spending 0.017 to make a coin that's only worth 0.01 isn't necessarily a bad idea because coins are reusable. In theory, a single penny could be used for hundreds, thousands, or even millions of transactions before it drops out of circulation. However, this only works if the coins actually do circulate, and pennies are often, as noted above, which is in the article, often don't. They're so hard to use that they end up stuffed in jars or abandoned in sidewalks. As a result, the Mint just has to keep making more pennies at a loss. In 2014, the Mint shipped out more pennies than nickels, quarters, and dimes put together. Over 7.9 billion coins. That adds up to a loss of over 55 million for that year alone. And thank you. I now stand open for cross-examination.
How are you doing today?
doing great. How about you?
Doing pretty well myself. Now you were talking about how 9 million less is better kind of a deal. Wouldn't you agree that the resolution says specifically resolve the United States federal government should substantially reform, not just
Yes,
a little
it does
bit
say
substantially.
It does
Okay,
say substantially.
thank you. All right. And now moving down to is lost at checkout. Now, wouldn't it be true that the person's choice what they do with their time?
Yeah, the person gets to choose what they do with their time. That's what you mean.
Yeah. So it would. Wouldn't you agree that this time will actually probably still be lost, even though even with the passage of your plan?
I don't quite get what you're saying. Could you explain it again?
So you're talking about how this time is going to be wasted and stuff like that, but you're naturally assuming by saying the $1 billion is going to be lost. I've found that you're naturally assuming that they're actually going to use this time productively. Do you have any proof that they're actually going to use this time productively?
No, I do not have proof that they're going to use the time productively. However, this is two seconds more lost productivity.
And wouldn't you agree that around 70% of Americans like the penny?
Did you provide evidence for that?
No, I did not yet, but
I cannot.
Okay. And moving right down, this is the more important one, and that is of your timeline is immediately, correct?
Immediately upon resolution, yes.
Okay, and also your mandate is to just stop the minting of the penny, correct?
Yes, stop production.
So you are actually not taking it out of circulation, correct?
No, it will circulate in the economy until people get tired of it.
And how long do you have any numbers of how long this is actually going to take?
How long the circulation of?
No, how long until it's pulled out of circulation completely?
Well, we won't. I don't think. No, we will not pull it out of circulation.
So you're not pulling it out of circulation?
No, the problem is not with the penny's value. The problem is not with the penny itself. The problem is that we keep making them and keep adding to it.
Okay, so you're not pulling out of circulation, but so you're essentially saying that 1 billion is still going to be lost since you're not pulling out of circulation.
No, I'm saying that they will probably, the people and the transactions will probably not want to use it anymore, and that at that point, stores will stop accepting the coin. Just naturally. Great speech, by the way. I just have a few questions. So you said over 2/3 want to keep the penny, correct?
Yes.
Wasn't the need of the people greater than what they simply want?
I believe that the government's duty is to do what the people want them to do.
Well, haven't there been several, and I'm sure there have been instances where haven't there been some instances where the government has to do some things that people did not want?
They would do so if a majority wanted it done. And also, you have not brought up evidence on this, so.
So you keep citing America for Common Sense. So America for Common Sense is biased, correct?
Yes, no one could be completely objective, so yes.
So they can, so in their poll they can choose who they polled, correct?
There's no evidence that they selectively chose this. It just says that they polled people.
So yes, so now that they're not being clear, so they could obviously have. So how do you know they didn't pick and choose the people they wanted to pick and made it seem like some percentage of it wasn't?
Well, there's no evidence that they did that. So.
There's also no evidence it did. So you're saying electronic transactions are bad, right?
Yes.
So how will debit stop working when the power goes out?
They will not be able to draw money out if they're relying on electronic transactions, whereas if they had cash, they would be able to do that.
So couldn't they just use checks? Checks are still another way of using.
They could possibly.
Thank you. That's all I have. Those are the questions I have.
response to your core is affected by the losing money from this plan, companies will round either way fairly because they know if their customers are to be losing money continually, they will take their business elsewhere. You said elsewhere websites are not biased, and in response to that, your partner in the cross-examination confirmed that the website is biased, and you have no proof as well that the website is not biased. And we have personally looked on the website and found that there are many biased claims that the website has produced. In response to your money still wasted and government will keep spending, less is always better, and the nothing is in comparison to the financial debt that the US is in right now, and we agree, but any step towards that goal will be good. And this is, again, the penny, something that sits in jars and no one uses regardless. In response, you said after your government will keep spending, and you said government will keep spend on something probably worse. This whole tournament is based on saving money, as it says, and you said that it will keep wasting its money on something worse. So that's contradicting what the point of this discussion is about. You also said that the copper is used in many other places, including piping and electric wire. I don't believe that copper is used in piping, and piping is mostly based on steel and other metals. And you also have no evidence for any other materials and things that it can be used for. In response to you said that you and your partner both said in either of your speeches that in the first one you said nickels also we are losing money from the nickels, and first of all that is untopical. Second of all, you said in your first argument that they cost 6.32 cents to produce, and in the second you said 9 cents to produce. These are conflicting pieces of evidence, and therefore we cannot believe either of them because they are incorrect websites. Thank you.
Alright, we finally come to the last speech of the round. I bet we're all excited to get out of here because it's the last speech of the tournament for the novices as well. In response to voting issue 3, money still lost, I would like to again provide the point, less is still better. Less is still better. No matter what, less is always better. Nobody's gonna ever be able to clear the entire federal debt in just a day, or in just one resolution, one ballot. It's never going to happen. So by taking chunks out of the debt, we make it easier and easier for the debt to be removed, and then finally it will if we keep passing plans that help the economy and help the debt lower. Across from productivity not lost at checkout, I like to say, less is again better. Less productivity, less is better. Less is always better. It's better to remove some. It's better to remove some of the lost productivity. We're not going to ever be able to solve the entire productivity problem with just one ballot, but if we keep removing it over time, we'll have a more stable productivity problem. Now let's move on to voting issue number 1. Pennies are not in circulation. Pennies are not in circulation. This is from Amy Livingston, Access, October 17, 2019. In theory, a single penny could be used for hundreds, thousands, or even millions of transactions before it drops out of circulation. However, this only works if the coins actually do circulate, and pennies, as noted above, often don't. They're so hard to use, they end up stuffed in jars or abandoned in sidewalks. pennies are not in circulation. However, the affirmative team's plan will remove this useless penny that is not in circulation and make sure that we're not wasting money on something that is not useful. Voting issue 2 is pennies harm the environment. As we've stated before in the 1AC, they harm the environment. True, we're only removing 3% of copper mining in a single penny, but we're still removing some. We're still removing some. As I said over and over again, this huge problem, the pollution problem, is not going to be solved with one ballot. Instead, multiple ballots need to keep coming out, and they need to keep being resolved to lessen the pollution, to lessen the deficit, to lessen the debt. Voting issue 3, and that's what our plan will do. They will remove some of the pollution from the environment. Voting issue 3, pennies waste money. As we stated before in my 2AC, they waste $900 million per year, plus just $49 million and $1 billion lost productivity. Although the negative team says that is not substantial, I believe that $1 billion is a very, very large chunk of the deficit. Taking off an entire billion from the trillions will make it so and it's also going to set a precedent, so others will see, oh, this is how it happened, it's worked. Maybe now we can propose more bills and we can remove some of the national debt. And thank you. And for all these reasons, that we would urge you to pass an affirmative ballot.